So I did it. I bought another collection. What did I get? What are the keys? Let's take a look at this video from Bronzeville Comics. So we do have a new collection here. This is some of it that I picked up yesterday. There is some Archies and Richie Riches and stuff, but that's not a bulk of it. The bulk of it is 70s, early 80s, even some Silver Age, Marvel and DC. There are some funny books in there, kids humor books, and I still have to look through this tub. But there's some good stuff in here, and we'll go through the best of it. So a large segment of this collection was Savage Sword of Conan magazines. There was a really good run. I'm not sure if these are in order. Well, there we are, number 10. And then, what's 11? 19, it jumps. But then I think he said there was a pretty solid run of them. I'm going to have to combine this with, I had another collection where I got a full run of Savage Sword of Conan's. These are fun books. You know, they got nice art inside and nice cover art as well. So that was a big segment of the collection, was these Conan magazines, all the way up through, well, to past 200. 235. And now it's out of order. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video, and this is another collection buy video. If you like what you see on this channel, please subscribe. We're going to have a 25 subscriber giveaway coming up soon. Also, follow me on Instagram and on Whatnot. I will be doing Whatnot sales as soon as I can get organized enough to do so. Also on the channel, click the like and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this collection. Let me know if there are any books that you find particularly interesting or cool that you had as a kid, whatever it is. Always like to get that feedback from the community. So, I was after King Con and having a little bit of cash back into my comic book coffers. I was perusing some ads on Craigslist and I found somebody selling a collection locally, the next town over. Sent an email, and the name sounded familiar, and it turns out this was this guy Joe that I've dealt with before. Last year I bought 2 collections from him, and then this year, so now he had advertised another one. We communicated, having had that experience. He met me first, and I thought there was a fair price that he was asking for the collection. This is a guy that is a comic book collector, has stuff, has a wide variety of stuff, but most of it's older. This is basically from the 60s, I guess late 60s into the early to mid 80s. And so he had what he had advertised. He also had another box of slightly better books. And I thought there were plenty of good keys, but I also thought that most of the books had value. There were a lot of good, solid Bronze Age books, which you know that I love. So went through, made a deal, brought it all home. Now I have to go through it all. So one of the interesting things is whoever had the original collection, because he had picked stuff up over the years, was speculating a little bit in, I think this was 1982. There are probably 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 copies of Saga the Swamp Thing 1. That's the series that Alan Moore later wrote. He wasn't writing these issues yet. They're still pretty good books. And then Fury of Firestorm number 1. These are not big books. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fury of Firestorm number 1. This is his second solo series. He had a short-lived series that disappeared in the DC implosion. He was a backup in Flash for a little bit, joined the Justice League, and then got his own book, which ran for over 100 issues. What's interesting about those 2 books is they came out the same month, and I want to really check the year because I'm not remembering. I think it's 1980, but I'm not positive. I got to get myself in focus. There you go. Here's my. These are really in nice shape. These particular books, 1982. And I think what must have happened at the time, I remember them being in the same house advertisement as new series. I must have come into some summer job money or something like that, some money that I had extra, and I put both books on my pull list. Boy, am I glad I put the Swamp Thing book on the pull list. I collected the full run of that, of course, including all the Alan Moore issues, First John Constantine. I did miss one. I recently picked it up, and I did complete my run. So those are nice books, but there were some better books. This is a book. It's in bad shape. It's the first appearance of Huntress. I already have a copy. All-Star Comics 69. First appearance of Helena Wayne as Huntress, the daughter of the Earth to Batman and Catwoman. That's a nice book, but the condition is a little disappointing. Some of these are not in the greatest of shape. These are definitely mid-grade. And this is kind of the era we're looking at. John Carter, Warlord of Mars, #1. There were some Invaders books. I believe that this is the first appearance of Union Jack. And there's also like an Adolf Hitler cover. I think there were a couple copies of this. This is an interesting book. Issue 23. And you see, not all these are bagged. I have to really go through and bag and border these. The Scarlet Scarab, there are some people who are speculating that the Scarlet Scarab will have some connection to Moon Knight just because of the Egyptian connection. That might be wishful thinking on their part more than anything else. Also, in the Invaders run, there are more Invaders books in here. 32, where Thor is tricked by Hitler into fighting the Invaders. So that was fun. Here is where X-Men Carol Danvers becomes binary. This is another book that's been moving a little bit lately. Iron Man Annual #5, where Killmonger is resurrected. Will we see Michael B. Jordan back as Killmonger? It's possible. Will he be resurrected, or will he be another an alternate reality character like we saw in What If? But that's not a bad book to have. Machine Man #1. That's a pretty cool character, Jack Kirby book there. Some people speculate maybe we see Machine Man in Armor Wars. Nothing really other than just guessing. There were 2 copies. One is not in great shape. And one is. This is Defenders 27. There were a strong number of Defenders books in here. This is the first appearance of Starhawk, who Sylvester Stallone played in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. War is Hell #1, a bronze Marvel War book. Always nice to have #1s. Another #1, this is kind of beat up. And unfortunately, there was not a 2 or 4 or 5. Marvel Spotlight #1, Red Wolf. Some people thinking that the Red Wolf would be a good character to come into the MCU, as there are not really any native characters. I'm going to hold on to this for a minute. This is in rough shape. I don't know if it improves with the press. It's a newsstand edition, though, Death in the Family. Batman 427. This, Volume 2, wasn't Volume 1, but this is still a book that has some value. Scooby-Doo, when Marvel was publishing the Hanna-Barbera characters in 1977. So, Scooby-Doo is ever popular. There were a bunch of Marvel Tales. Usually Marvel Tales are not the most collectible books, but there are some. This is a quasi-reprint. They did change some of the dialogue to make it more modern. Some of the references. This reprint's Amazing Fantasy 15. And then this book heated up for quite a bit. And we've seen a little bit of a nod to it again. This is Marvel Tales 150. It reprints Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1, which is the first appearance of the Sinister Six. And on the heels of the Morbius movie, the Sonyverse, so to speak, of Spider-Man, how successful that will be is a question, but there now more speculation that we will see a Sinister Six. This is a book that I really like. I loved it as a kid. The first appearance of the Freedom Fighters, which is also the first appearance of these 6 characters who were Quality Comics characters, Quality Comics Group, which published in the 1940s. DC bought up the rights to Quality. They continued to publish 2 of the titles, GI Combat and Black Hawk. There were other quality comics characters. I'll refer to one in a little, just now, next. But it's the first modern appearance of Black Condor. Black Condor, Ray. It's going the right. Uncle Sam, Dollman, Phantom Lady, and the Human Bomb. It's one of the JLA JSA team-ups. First of a 2-part. I think the second part was in here somewhere. I have to see that if that upgrades my personal collection. Saga McGee. There was a bunch of House of Mystery Dial H for Hero. This particular issue, Robbie Reed dials up, not to be confused with the Brady Bunch dad. He dials up Hero and he becomes Plastic Man. So Plastic Man was another quality comics hero that DC bought the rights to. He did have a short-lived series in the 60s, but this predated that. So this is the first Silver Age appearance of Plastic Man. Had a nice run of Avengers in the early 200s. This classic cover, this is where She-Hulk joins the team. There were 2 of them in here, both newsstands. And then this cover, which has both a direct and a newsstand edition in there, with this scene that we saw duplicated in, was it Civil War? With Hawkeye and Ant-Man, classic cover. Another classic cover. There's some really good, and these are in nice shape. This Black Knight cover, and Black Knight is coming to the MCU. Dane Whitman is, a character that we're going to see, and Kit Harington is under contract. Another character is returning is Monica Rambeau. This is her second appearance. She joins the Avengers as Captain Marvel. And then another book that heated up in the fall. Star Fox joins the Avengers. He is named Star Fox here by the Wasp. There were some Captain America books in there, including this classic cover by John Byrne in issue 230. I'm going to hold off on that one. As I said, there were some Invaders books, including a decent copy. This is not in bad shape, of Invaders #1. This is the first appearance of Union Jack. That's the first appearance of a different Union Jack. That's the second Union Jack it appears in. I think it's issue 18. This is the first appearance of Union Jack, and this is his first cover appearance. Another book that people are speculating on, not in the greatest of condition. This is mid-grade. I have plenty of these in mid-grade. This is Marvel Team Up 65, the first U.S. appearance of Captain Britain. There were some rumors that Henry Cavill would be playing that character. Amazing Adventures #1. First solo Black Widow, first solo Inhumans stories, I believe. Unfortunately, I think it's #6 is the first appearance of Bobby Morris, who would become Mockingbird. That was not in the collection. I said there was a good Defenders collection. No 17, but 18. The first appearance of the Wrecking Crew. That's a good book. This, again, a mid-grade book. I have this all over the place. I keep tripping over this book. Iron Man 118, first appearance of James Rhodes. He has a very, very small appearance as, I think he's working as a mechanic in Tony Stark's hangar at Stark Industries. This is a book that heated up recently, which is Beware the Claws of the Cat #1. Because, and there was a random, this is almost random gold, is this Golden Age? I'm not exactly sure how old this is. A Patsy Walker comic. Patsy Walker, right, becomes the cat, and that's heated up recently because, evidently, in the new solicitations, it's been revealed that Tony Stark is going to propose to her in the comics. And this is a comic that every comic collector in the day was forced to buy, almost. It's the Dazzler #1. It was the first book that was totally direct market. No newsstand for this. And then there was also, this is a really nice book. I had a run of the miniseries. I don't think issue 2 is in here. But issue 3 is. I had, this is a reasonably high grade, I think. I'm going to take this out and take a closer look and see if it's worth submitting. It is the DC Masters of the Universe #1. Before Star Comics, DC had the rights to Masters of the Universe. They premiered them in DC Comics Presents #47. And then there was a 16-page insert in a number of books. to preview this mini-series. So this is the first issue of the mini-series. Okay, and then I gotta find out where I have the other books. Here's an interesting connection. So we're 1 week removed from the Oscars, and without getting into details, we all know what happened at the Oscars. The complete disgrace of Zack Snyder films winning 2 fan polls. Now, we all know that Will Smith has played Deadshot in the first Suicide Squad movie, and a scheduling conflict prohibited him from being in the Suicide Squad, so Idris Elba took on the role of Bloodsport in the James Gunn film that came out last summer. Well, there's another character who Will Smith has played on screen and was nominated for an Oscar, and I have 2 copies of his first comic book appearance. And that, in this collection, were 2 copies of this Treasury edition Superman versus Muhammad Ali with this great Neil Adams, trying to get it in focus, Neil Adams wraparound cover. And it's funny because they do have a key inside for who all the characters on the cover are, I think. I thought they did, yep. A lot of them are DC employees, but there's Johnny Carson, Christopher Reeve, Lucille Ball, Batman's in there somewhere. It's just kind of a kooky thing. Pele, Andy Warhol, William Cannon Conrad, Joe Namath, Ron Palillo, and Robert Hedges from Welcome Back, Connor, which DC published for a short while. Wolfman Jack, Frank Sinatra, Ron Howard, President Gerald Ford. So it's just quite the... Where's... The president showed up for that. Uh, 64. We had a pretty good seat, I think. Yeah. It's right by the pole there. Yep. And who's that next to him? It's going to be somebody ridiculous. 57 is Tony Orlando. Not to be confused with, was it Joe Orlando who was an artist at the time? Anyway, they were nice. I'm really happy. There were 2 copies of this. That was really good. These are in pretty good shape. That's kind of a fun thing. The interior art there is a fold in this one. These I did a video on these Treasury editions a while ago, and I'm just trying to see. I think, is this Neil Adams art? Yes, I believe it is. Yeah, this is definitely Neil Adams. Awesome. This is so 70s. And then the other big Treasury book of the era was Superman versus Spider-Man. And just like Muhammad Ali, there were 2 copies of that. So that's the crux of the collection. It's going to take me a while to go through this collection, and I'm going to probably have to rebag and board all of it. My estimate is there were probably somewhere between 12 and 1,400 books in the collection. So a number of them were humor books. There were some Richie Riches and Archies and that sort of thing. There were some like that Scooby-Doo book, some of those 1977 era Marvel books that do have a little bit of value in the number ones. I'll have to take a closer look at those. But that was a great collection. Joe was a great guy to deal with. As I said, I dealt with him last year, bought a couple of collections. The problem is some of this stuff is so good, I want to keep it for the personal collection. Let me know what you think, though. What books do you like? Are you familiar with those Treasury editions? It's nice to have 2 copies of those. That was a lot of fun. So that's it for this collection. And this is Jim from Bronzeville Comics saying, until next time, enjoy your comics.